Hi guys, this is going to be a review on the movie Black Mass starring Johnny Depp. It tells the story of a notorious crime boss by the name of Whitey Bulger, who pretty much controlled all the crime that was going on in Boston during the 70s and 80s. So this movie just tells a story. So it's a true life story. It's about a real person. He's actually currently serving time in jail right now, life sentence. This movie stars a lot of people actually. Kevin Bacon is in it. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. Adam Scott, Dakota Johnson, Joel Edgerton. So it's a pretty good ensemble cast. And Johnny Depp plays the title character of Whitey Bulger. What happened is that Whitey Bulger was I guess he was described as a small-time crook in South Boston. FBI agent by the name of John Connolly, who's played by Joel Edgerton in the movie. He wants to make a name of himself in the FBI. He wants to rise in the ranks. You know, he wants to be the big shot and be responsible for cleaning up the city of Boston. So at this time, Whitey's gang, I think it's called the White Hill Gang, they pretty much controlled the South. And the Mafia, or the people who controlled the North, Connolly wanted to get the Mafia out of Boston and have the kudos of cleaning up the city of crime. So he convinced Whitey to become an informant actually with the FBI. And at first Whitey was like, I'm not a rat, I kill rats, I bury rats in the ground. So he took a little bit more convincing, but eventually he did. He became an informant to the FBI to rat out the Mafia, while in turn he would be protected by the FBI, specifically the John Connolly character. So at the same time, when he was telling them information about the FBI and telling them their whereabouts and what dealings they were doing, at the same time he himself was being protected by this FBI agent who would forge eyewitness testimonies and would lie on the eyewitness testimonies, would take out any incriminating evidence against Whitey Bulger, so that when he turned in all his paperwork, there was no evidence that could tie Whitey Bulger to any crimes. But he was doing a lot of stuff. He was doing a lot of crimes. He was killing people, murdering people, selling drugs. They say he's responsible for over 50 murders during that time that he either did himself or had people do for him. So normally someone doing all this would eventually get caught, but he had the protection of the FBI and also the protection of his brother, who's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who's the senator of the state. So he was protected by the FBI agent and his brother, so he was pretty much untouchable. And so that's how he became such a big force in the underworld, I guess, the crime world. It's funny because in an article Johnny Depp said that he wanted to play this character with humanity, and he wanted to, well, I should stop there. He's not a character. He's an actual person. He's a real person in real life. So he wanted to play this person, I guess, some sort of humanity, and that he wanted to portray him as someone who loved his family and, you know, was doing things because there was really no other course for him to do it. But after watching the movie, there weren't many scenes where you saw him as anyone but evil. The only scene I can think of is when he's with his son, which is early in the movie, and then one other scene when he's with his mom. So that's only two scenes in the entire movie, that's about 2 hours long, where I felt that he had any sort of humanity in him. All the other scenes, he really personified the word evil. If he wasn't murdering someone or beating them to a pulp, he was manipulating them and to do what he wanted them to do, or scaring the crap out of them. So that was pretty much the whole movie. He's one of the few actors, I believe, that can truly transform into a character. Like whenever you watch one of his movies, you really forget that, oh, this is Johnny Depp. You just really get convinced that, you know, he's the character that he plays. So I always give him props for that. I think he's an amazing actor, and he really transforms physically into this character of Bulger. He has like the white hair and the pale skin and blue, like ice blue. They almost look like glass. It felt like, you know, whenever the camera would pan to his face directly and he would look, it felt like he didn't have a soul in his body. It was really disarming, and that really added to this personification of him, you know, being a psychopath or being deranged or being diabolical and manipulative. All of those attributes, you saw it in this movie. And again, this is a true story, so whether or not he was like that, whether or not that was true, I guess no one will know. And the director said they got a lot of the movie from eyewitnesses' testimonies during trial. I think someone wrote a book actually about the whole situation that happened, how he had the protection of the FBI and how he would kind of get rid of anyone that got in his way. So I'll try to put some links down about more information about Whitey Bulger, and also a link where Johnny Depp said that he wanted to portray this person as, you know, human, and that I think he also said he didn't believe in evil. Like, he doesn't believe people are evil. He believes that people make mistakes or make bad choices. He might not believe that people are evil, but he portrayed this character very evilly, if that's a word. It was frightening watching a lot of the scenes. There are two specific scenes that were quite disturbing for me, and I'll talk more about those in the spoiler section of this video. So do I like this movie? Did I think it was good? I think the acting was superb. Johnny Depp's amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch was good. Joel Edgerton was good in it. It's in the same realm of like the movie The Departed or even Goodfellas, The Sopranos. If you're not adverse to seeing graphic violence, then this movie might be for you. I actually love The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think that's an amazing movie. So I will say it's on the same level as that. It's not as good as The Departed, but if you like that sort of genre movie, then this movie is pretty good. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, there are two scenes in the movie that I want to elaborate a little bit more on. There's one scene where Bulger's right-hand man, I think his name is Flemmy, he was sleeping with his stepdaughter essentially, and I guess had like pillow talk or whatever with her, and kind of told her some information that he shouldn't have told her about Whitey Bulger's like business, his crime business. In one scene in the movie, they go bail her out of jail because she's also a prostitute and she got arrested for prostitution. What was disturbing is that he just asked her kind of nonchalantly what information she said to the police. What exactly did she say about him and his business and where he was at? And he said that everything was going to be okay and that he was going to protect her and take her to one of his houses where she can stay and like be comfortable and be safe. So he really kind of led her into a sense of security. And so they go to the house and he has her kind of look around, and all of a sudden in the middle of a sentence that she was talking, he strangles her with his bare hands in front of his right-hand man. So they take her and they bury her in the basement of that house that they were in. So when I first saw this, I was like, okay, was that really true? Because a lot of times in true movies or true life event movies or based on a true story movies, they embellish a lot on certain situations. But I went on the internet, researched it, and I read it, and Flemmy testified to that in his in the trial against Bulger, that had happened, and he did strangle her and he had to bury her in the basement. It was very disturbing to see. It was very sad to see. And then another scene that was really weird was you know, Bulger and Connolly were getting along. They were hanging out with each other more and more. They're hanging out at Connolly's house where his, you know, wife is obviously there, and she does not like Bulger at all. So when they sit down to dinner, she goes upstairs and she just tries to avoid him at all costs. So Bulger asks Connolly, you know, where's your wife? He said that, you know, she doesn't feel good, and she went upstairs into her room. So Bulger just kind of shoots up and he was like, oh, I'll go check on her, and goes upstairs to their bedroom and knocks on the door, and the wife opens thinking that it's her husband, but it's Bulger. And so he knows that she doesn't like him, and whether this is him intimidating her or scaring her into maybe not testifying against him later, or him just being a jerk or a douche, he says, oh, I heard you're not feeling well, let's see what's wrong. So he shoots his hand out and puts her on her head and just very weirdly starts rubbing her head to see if she has a fever, really into her personal space. And then what was scary was that he then dropped his hand down to her neck to see if her glands are swollen or something like that. But he's like really rubbing hard and then like massaging her neck up and down, like squeezing it and stuff. And he's saying, oh, well, your glands don't feel swollen. You know, you gotta be real careful with stuff like that. He's obviously, you know, invading her personal space and intimidating her. It was a creepy, creepy scene. Because on one hand, you kind of feared for her life because he had his hand on her throat, like basically saying, I have the strength to strangle you, which he did because he strangled that other girl before in the movie. But also was like weirdly sexual and sexually intimidating. It's almost a mixture of, yeah, I can strangle you to death, or yeah, I can like rape you right here if I want to. That was the scene that just really disturbed me when I saw it. So it's funny to hear that Johnny Depp didn't want to play him as an evil person or wanted to play him with, you know, human traits or with a sense of humanity, because I didn't see any of that in the movie. It was a movie that was disturbing pretty much from the beginning to the end. He did a lot of horrible things. He hurt a lot of people, murdered people. But they're saying, I think his camp right now is saying that it was all made up, it was all fake, like they took artistic license and blew things out of proportion or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that he is in jail and he's serving 2 life sentences for the murder of, I think, 11 people.